All right, so I'm going to talk to you about why you're not actually lazy, but you are stuck in a survival loop. So, and also why discipline, like more discipline, is just not the answer. Even though I like a little bit of discipline, got to be honest with you, it's not always the answer to driving us forward. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what that looks like and how we break it down. So, um, can you relate to this? Ever being in a situation where the more you try to get yourself to take action, the less action you're able to take. Like, you're like, I know that I want to do this, but it's not, there's something not aligning, and I'm like pushing forward, and I'm like in this procrastination scenario, and I'm just not getting the things done. This is something that came up for me a lot until I worked out how to hack the system. And then also, as well, something that I support my clients with all the time. Because what this manifests in is this state of overwhelm, mental fog, like confusion, and just nothingness, like no productivity, right? And so, an example for me, if I always like, I will always say this, like, I'm always my own best testimonial first, right? So I will go first, try the things, and then bring them back. And so I released a book recently, and through the process of writing that, even though I am an advanced trained rapid resolution therapy provider, okay, and I help people with this stuff, overcoming mental loops that are not helpful all of the time, I was still struggling to get myself to take action, to write my book and hit all the milestones that are needed to launch it. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's a book or whether it's something, a work project or like home renovations, whatever that is for you. Like, I don't care. Same scenario, same process, right, to fix it. So at the time, I was trying to write my book and hit all the milestones that I needed to launch it, right? So the pressure was kind of real. I had a deadline with my publisher. And on top of that, I just found out I was pregnant. And so between all of this mental fog and serious dip in like physical mental energy, things were just not flowing. And now it doesn't matter if it's like pregnancy or whether it's burnout or physical injury or like whatever illness. When your body isn't functioning at full capacity, it makes everything feel 10 times harder. So I just want to caveat that. But even knowing that did not stop the internal frustration, right? I still had to like get myself moving towards the outcome that I wanted. Okay. So as someone that has always prided herself on being driven and capable and executing on all the high performance books and things like that, I started to wonder if like had I just become lazy? Like, was that what was happening? And I really hated that feeling because that is just not who I am. And if you're listening to this right now, it's probably not who you are either. And so anyway, I did the things that we do, right, as high performers in that situation. I doubled down, obviously, right? Just do more of it, work harder. So I put every high performance habit that I knew into place, and this was going to fix it, right? So I added more structure to my days. I made to-do lists. I set timers. I tried to like discipline myself more into productivity. And I even told myself all the things that we tend to say in these moments, right? So I would say like, I just need to be more motivated or just push through, like get more done, work harder, get your act together. But no matter how hard I tried to do that, it still felt like something was blocking me from taking action. And I was just so frustrated. And it turns out that something was something, but it was not what I thought it was. It was not laziness. It was actually just a survival loop. And no amount of motivation or discipline was ever going to fix that, right? So what we need to understand that when these situations are happening is that mind isn't the enemy here. It's just doing its job, right? So here's what I now understand and what I brought it back to. The unconscious mind, okay, so the part of the mind, of our mind, that is responsible for running at least 95% of our thoughts, our patterns, our behaviors, the underlying program that makes us do anything, is always working to prioritize survival. So it's not judging you, it's not saying you're lazy, it's simply reading the data that it has, the data that's coming in, and reacting accordingly. So here's how it works. Whatever we actively move towards, the mind tags as safe. Whatever we avoid, actively, the mind tags as unsafe. So whether it is or not, and whether that is actually true or not, right? That's how it works. So if you have been avoiding a certain task, like I was, whether it's writing a book, having a difficult conversation, or filing taxes, or whatever it is, your mind, because you have been avoiding it, even just a little bit, has been beginning to, over time, label that task as a threat, right? And once that happens, it will do everything, and I mean absolutely everything it can to help you avoid it. And it will go, that's where that loop comes in, right? That's where that data misread glitch comes in. It's not because it's bad, it's because it thinks that that avoiding it is what it needs to do to keep you safe. So if we think about taking smoking as an example, so someone who so smoking essentially physically creates the same stress response in the body as fear. So when we have a cigarette, or I don't smoke, but I did about 1 million years ago, or if someone does, smoking physically in our system, in our bodies, creates the exact same stress response in the bodies as fear. But people who smoke often will say, I'm having a cigarette because it makes me feel calm, which is impossible. Is physically impossible. But because they have, over time, consciously moved towards having a cigarette, mind has associated with that with being safe, a safe activity, and they now look for that in moments of stress. So it's made that connection, it's made that association. So mind has, in effect, essentially incorrectly tagged that data as soothing or safe, even though it's doing the exact opposite to the system, okay? So the result of that is that our habits and impulses that feel comforting like that in the moment ultimately are coming at quite a high cost for us, okay? Because logically we can know, like if you were going to go and ask like a smoker, for example, and this is nothing against people that smoke, it's just like a perfect example, insert like any bad habit that you don't want. If you were to ask someone that was smoking, like, do you think smoking is good for you, consciously, they would say, no one in their right mind would be like, yeah, this is really helping my health. Like, I think this is going to help me live longer. Like, no, of course not. But unconscious mind only understands that they're moving towards it, therefore it must be good for survival, therefore prioritize it as something that is safe. Okay? So the same thing is happening no matter what it is that we're doing, whether we are moving towards it or moving away from it. So what we need to do is get mind updated and on board with the fact that the things that we want to do, like the end outcomes, that was a book for me, it could be anything else for you, are safe. Okay? So when it comes to the way that we look at it through the lens of rapid resolution therapy, or RRT, is that when we're looking to achieve something, okay, there is either, what we also do is look for any conflict in what that could look like. So what I mean by that is I wanted to write my book. So what I would do is look for, is there any process conflict? Meaning, is there anything in the process towards writing that book that unconscious mind is not on board with, first of all? So that could be something like, well, I feel like writing this book is going to take time away from my family. And there's a conflict in that, right? I might not want that to happen. You might want that to happen. I don't know. And so that's one thing. So we need to check for where the conflict lies in the process. And then also as well, is there any outcome conflict? So outcome conflict might look like, if I write this book and it is successful, then that might get too wild. I might have too much success, for example. And I wouldn't be able to handle it, and I would be exhausted, and I would be burnt out, or it can be anything like that. So we need to check where these things are going on, and I would encourage you to do that for yourself and say, is there anything going on there that I need to look at? And if there is, you can come to me and I can clear that for you and get you moving in the right direction. Just send me a DM. Sorry, side tangented off that. So anyway, so that's part of it. So that's what we need to do. We need to look for that conflict first of all. And then once we understand that, what we then need to do is actively get mind on board with the new outcome that we want being safe. So another way that we can do that is really break it down. Okay, so the way that I did that with my book, for example, was I would sit down and I would do something that I knew I could accomplish in order to get this done, right? So I would set a time for literally 5 minutes and just write for 5 minutes. And then I would go away and be like, woo, yeah, did it. Sat down, do exactly the same thing again. 5 minutes, get up, whatever. And just kept increasing that level of time. And it has to be an amount of time that mind is on board with, okay? And what we're doing is just saying, this is safe. This is safe. Tag the data correctly, right? And update the system. So that's why, essentially, bringing it full circle, discipline and motivation are really overrated here. And when we say things like, I need more discipline, or I just need to be more motivated, we are reinforcing a false belief about what's actually required for change. Because motivation and discipline are not the missing ingredients, okay? What's the missing ingredients is that the information has been tagged incorrectly, and we need to update the operating system to let it know what is safe and what it should be moving towards, okay? Removing that conflict, getting our mind to take action. And, we need to remove those two things essentially from the equation completely, I believe. So like I said, with RT, with rapid resolution therapy, I help attach interest and appeal to getting things done that would have been good to have done and possible to do, and that your mind is then attaching interest and appeal towards doing those things. If you want to come along and work with me, send me a DM. I'm taking on very limited clients over the next couple of months, primarily because, one, heavily pregnant, secondly, at full capacity, and also because there's a lot going on right now. But what you can do is send me a DM. If it's something that I feel I can help you with that would be a good fit, I will absolutely let you know, and we can have a wee chat about that. I can also pop you on the wait list for when we reopen for new clients. But you can also go ahead and grab our free audio download, which is called Shift It, which essentially helps us update the unconscious mind and remove these subconscious blocks really quickly. So in just 15 minutes, it will help you do this. We have incredible responses from this of how well it works. So if you want just a taster of what we do, you are more than welcome to send us a message and we will send that right over for you.